Hello everyone, welcome back to geometry class. Last week we discussed several formulas in when we use coordinate geometry, and now this week we are going to use what we discussed before to actually do some proof. And the focus is we are going to prove a given quadrilateral a parallelogram. So whenever you see prove a quadrilateral as a parallelogram, the very first question is how do we prove quadrilateral as a program? How many methods do we have? So today, later, I'm going to share this document with you, and you will see we actually have 5 methods to prove a quadrilateral as a parallelogram. However, don't be freak out. It's like there are so many methods, do I have to use them all? It's not. You can always choose, 1 or 2 methods to prove as long as you are familiar with this. And let's quickly read some methods here and to have some idea. The first one says we need to show both pairs of opposite sides are parallel. So this is actually the definition of the parallelogram. So since both pairs are parallel, we need to prove 2 pairs. So AB parallel to CD, then AD parallel to BC, 2 pairs. Another one, instead of showing parallel, this one says show both pairs of opposite sides are congruent. So in this case, we don't need to do a parallel. Instead, we are going to show they have same length. So this one is we are going to show 2 pairs of opposite sides having same length. So the reason I highlight this too, because today we actually going to focus on these 2 methods. And of course, you can explore some other methods here. And most important thing is the angles one is only one we cannot actually prove in coordinate geometry, but method 1, 2, 4, 5, you can always do some more research to figure out how to use coordinate geometry to complete this kind of proof. It just focuses on different kind of methods. You may choose different formulas too. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to focus on one example, and we are going to use the same example to practice the 2 methods here. Let's check the example here. This example gives us a quadrilateral ABCD with the coordinates labeled on the graph, and we need to prove it is a parallelogram. So since we mentioned we are going to choose the first and the second method, let's do some thinking process before we do actually proof. The first method, as we mentioned, we need to show both pairs of opposite sides parallel. So question will be, we need to show both pairs and we need to show parallel. Then in coordinate geometry, what formula can we use to prove parallel? Some students probably already figure out. Use slope formula. Use slope formula, we need to prove parallel. And also remember, both pairs, that means 2 pairs. We need to prove this pair. We also need to prove these pairs. So we actually need to find 4 individual slopes. So do not forget the amount of work we need to show. So when we finish the thinking process, now we are going to actually show some more work here, more calculation. So since we need to find the 4 slopes here, I'm going to label everything. So the first, let's try slope of AB. Again, do not write AB equals, because it's not really AB equals something. We actually focus on the slope. So do not forget that. Once we have, label this, you can always use right over wrong. You can always use a slope formula since you have coordinates. So really doesn't matter which way you use. So I'm going to use this one, the first AB using slope formula. So just label x1, y1, x2, y2, and then I just plug into the value y2 minus y1, then x2 minus x1, so 2 minus -3. Whenever I go minus another number, I prefer to put the parentheses to avoid forgetting the sign here. So we know the answer is 2/5. And next, slope. So it's always a good idea to go with a pair. So AB matching to CD, so I'm going to matching CD here. This one I'm going to use rise over wrong. So rise 1, 2, wrong 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this means AB parallel CD because they have the same slope. Okay, so to save our time, we are going to not really show a calculation. We do another pair, but always remember, do not forget, you can always use, what do we call? You can always use slope formula to plug into the points. You can use rise over wrong. But when you use it, do not forget that you go to the left or you go down. In that case, you will have a negative number. So slope AD is actually slope AD is -1, and if we check slope BC is also -1. So we have a similar conclusion is because they have same slope. Do try not too lazy of that. Always you can type or write it down for this. But remember, this is a calculation. So these two sentences, I explain what happened to the slopes of each pair. Finally, I'm going to write down the final conclusion. So final conclusion, do not forget, okay? So the final conclusion, you are going to indicate what method you actually use. So we do know ABCD is a parallelogram because you use both pairs upside are parallel. So that's actually the method you use. So that's why the final conclusion, you are going to indicate the method. Do not forget the final conclusion. It's very easy to just show the calculation without any explanation, which actually consider as incomplete proof. Okay, so that's our first method. In the next video, I'm going to show you the second method so you can compare the amount of the work and what kind of formula you can use. You can always choose, any methods. You can even do some more exploration to see other methods too. Thank you so much for watching this video, everyone. See you soon in next one.